The South China Sea, known in the Philippines as the West Philippine Sea, has once again become the site of a tense maritime standoff. In late 2025, Philippine and Chinese Coast Guard vessels clashed near Tidu Island, a key Philippine outpost in the Spratlys. The Philippine vessel, on a routine resupply mission, was blocked and blasted with water cannons by larger Chinese ships, escalating the ongoing dispute. This incident drew global attention, highlighting the risk that a minor clash could spiral into a wider conflict. Both Manila and Beijing released dueling narratives, each blaming the other, as the world watched with concern. The confrontation underscored the fragility of peace in the region and the unresolved struggle for control of the South China Sea. The Philippines called the incident a clear act of Chinese aggression within its waters. The resupply mission to Pag-asa Island, home to civilians and a military garrison, was essential for those stationed there. As the Philippine boat neared the island, it was intercepted by larger China Coast Guard vessels, which used dangerous maneuvers and high-pressure water cannons to block its path. Video footage released by Manila showed the tense encounter, reinforcing claims of Chinese intimidation. The Philippines condemned the blockade as a violation of sovereignty and a pattern of harassment. Manila lodged a diplomatic protest, vowing to continue defending its rights and resupplying its outposts. The government framed the clash as part of China's broader campaign to push the Philippines out of its own waters. China, meanwhile, insisted its actions were justified and restrained. Beijing claimed the Philippine vessel had intruded into Chinese waters near Zhongyedao, China's name for Titu Island. Chinese officials said their Coast Guard issued repeated warnings before using minimal force to expel the Philippine boat. China framed the incident as standard law enforcement, not aggression, and accused Manila of provoking the confrontation for international sympathy. Beijing maintains its claims based on historical rights within the nine-dash line, dismissing the Philippines' position. China urged Manila to stop provocations and return to dialogue. In Beijing's view, responsibility for the clash lies with the Philippines for entering what China considers its territory. Titu Island, known as Pag-asa to Filipinos and Zhongyedao to the Chinese, stands as a crucial outpost in the heart of the South China Sea, a region marked by overlapping territorial claims and simmering tensions. This small island is far more than just a speck on the map. It is a strategic prize, fiercely contested by multiple nations, each eager to assert their sovereignty over these waters. As the largest Philippine-held island in the Spratlys, Titu is unique. It is not only home to a resilient civilian community, but also hosts a military garrison and a functional airstrip, making it a vital hub for both defense and daily life. Its location is of immense importance, offering the Philippines a vantage point to monitor and, to some extent, control the vital shipping lanes that carry trillions of dollars in global trade each year. The surrounding waters are rich in marine life, providing livelihoods for Filipino fishermen, while beneath the waves lie potential reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that could shape the region's economic future. Just 14 nautical miles away, the proximity of Titu Island to other contested features heightens the stakes. China's militarized Subi Reef, bristling with military installations and warships, looms on the horizon, creating a constant atmosphere of tension and uncertainty. Over the past decade, China's rapid construction of artificial islands and its military buildup have effectively encircled Titu, tightening the noose around this Philippine outpost. Every Philippine resupply mission to the island has become a high-stakes operation, with the risk of confrontation ever present as Chinese vessels shadow and sometimes block their path. The latest maritime clashes are not isolated incidents, but part of a broader campaign by China to assert dominance and pressure the Philippines into retreating from its own territory. Chinese Coast Guard ships routinely block access, forcing Philippine boats to turn back and making life on Titu Island increasingly precarious. For Manila, holding on to Titu Island is about more than just territory. It is a matter of national pride, sovereignty, and the determination to stand firm in the face of intimidation. The island has become a rallying point for Filipinos, a symbol of resistance and unity against external pressure, inspiring both those on the island and across the nation. In many ways, Titu Island is a microcosm of the broader struggle for control in the South China Sea, where diplomacy, military power, and national identity collide. Whoever controls this island and the waters around it wields influence over one of the world's busiest and most contested waterways, shaping the future of regional security and global commerce. The Titu Island clash is just the latest in a long history of South China Sea disputes. Overlapping claims by China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan have fueled decades of tension. China's occupation of Mischief Reef in 1995 and its seizure of Scarborough Shoal in 2012 set a pattern of incremental expansion. China uses its superior Coast Guard and maritime militia to assert control, employing tactics like swarming, harassment, and water cannons. The stakes are high. The sea is rich in oil, gas, and fisheries vital to regional economies. As resources dwindle elsewhere, competition for the South China Sea's bounty intensifies. The struggle is about sovereignty, security, and economic survival. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, rejecting China's 9-line claim. The tribunal found no legal basis for China's historic rights and condemned its interference with Philippine activities and environmental damage. The ruling affirmed that UNCLOS, not force or history, should govern the sea. China, however, dismissed the decision as scrap paper and refused to comply. Beijing has since expanded its military presence and continued to harass other claimants. The tribunal's decision remains a powerful legal tool for the Philippines, but its enforcement is a major challenge. The standoff highlights the limits of international law when confronted by raw power. The United States has emerged as the most vocal and influential external player in the ongoing South China Sea dispute, consistently making its position clear on the world stage. Washington's involvement is not just diplomatic, it's strategic, reflecting the region's importance to global trade and security. The U.S. sees the South China Sea as a vital international waterway, through which trillions of dollars in commerce flow each year. While the United States officially maintains that it does not take sides on the question of sovereignty over the disputed islands, it is unwavering in its insistence on freedom of navigation and overflight. Washington has repeatedly emphasized its commitment to upholding international law and has made it clear that it supports the Philippines under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, which obligates both nations to come to each other's aid in case of an armed attack. After the recent T2 island clash, the U.S. government swiftly condemned China's actions, calling them provocative and destabilizing. American officials reaffirmed their defense commitments to the Philippines, sending a strong message that any attack on Philippine forces could trigger a U.S. response under the treaty. To back up its words with action, U.S. Navy warships regularly conduct freedom of navigation operations, or FONOPs, in the South China Sea. These patrols are designed to challenge China's sweeping maritime claims and demonstrate that the waters remain open to all nations, in accordance with international law. Joint military exercises with the Philippines and other regional partners have become more frequent and complex, showcasing advanced capabilities and interoperability. These drills are not just about training, they send a powerful signal of deterrence to any nation considering aggressive moves in the region. The United States is not alone in its stance. Allies such as Japan, Australia, and the European Union have also voiced strong support for upholding international law and the 2016 arbitral ruling, which invalidated many of China's expansive claims. As a result, international pressure is mounting on China to respect the rules-based order and abide by established norms. Diplomatic efforts, public statements, and even protests have called on Beijing to comply with international agreements and court decisions. For Manila, U.S. backing is not just symbolic, it is a crucial lifeline in facing its much larger and more powerful neighbor. The presence of American advisors and military support bolsters the Philippines' confidence and ability to defend its interests. Ultimately, the South China Sea has become a critical test of alliances, international cooperation, and global resolve. The world is watching to see how these partnerships will shape the future of this contested region. For the Philippines, dealing with China is a delicate balancing act, one that requires both caution and strategic foresight. The relationship is shaped by a long history of cooperation, competition, and at times, confrontation. Every diplomatic gesture, every handshake, and every negotiation carries weight, as both nations try to assert their interests while avoiding open conflict. Manila must defend its sovereignty and stand up to Chinese pressure, especially in the contested waters of the South China Sea. At the same time, it cannot ignore the reality that China is its largest trading partner, providing crucial markets for Philippine exports and investments that fuel the local economy. The challenge is to protect national interests without jeopardizing economic growth or regional stability. The government faces mounting domestic pressure to protect its territory and the livelihoods of Filipino fishermen, who often find themselves on the front lines of maritime disputes. Yet a total break with China would risk economic setbacks, job losses, and uncertainty for millions of Filipinos who depend on trade and investment. Over the years, Philippine policy has shifted between engagement and assertiveness, depending on the administration in power. Some leaders have sought closer ties and dialogue, while others have taken a tougher stance, emphasizing sovereignty and national pride. The current government is taking a firmer stance than its predecessors, openly publicizing incidents of Chinese harassment at sea and strengthening security ties with the United States. Joint military exercises and increased defense cooperation signal a renewed commitment to national defense and regional alliances. Manila is also working closely with ASEAN neighbors to build a regional consensus and push for a binding code of conduct in the South China Sea. This multilateral approach aims to ensure that smaller nations have a collective voice and can negotiate from a position of strength. Progress is slow, and diplomatic negotiations are often painstaking, but multilateral diplomacy remains a key pillar of the Philippines' strategy. Building trust and finding common ground among diverse nations is a long-term process. The Philippines must balance diplomacy with credible defense capabilities to safeguard its interests. Modernizing the military, investing in Coast Guard patrols, and strengthening alliances are all part of a comprehensive approach to national security. The stakes are high. National dignity, security, and prosperity are all on the line. For the Philippines, the path forward is complex, requiring unity, resilience, and a clear vision for the future. The Tiddu Island confrontation is a stark warning of how quickly tensions can escalate in the South China Sea. Both sides must prioritize de-escalation and establish direct communication to prevent accidents or miscalculations. Clear protocols and crisis hotlines are essential for managing encounters at sea. Ultimately, only peaceful dialogue grounded in international law can resolve the dispute. The 2016 arbitral ruling remains the best legal framework for negotiations, despite China's rejection. The international community should keep pressing for restraint and respect for the rules-based order. For the Philippines, it's a fight for its future as a maritime nation. For China, a test of its global responsibility. Restraint, dialogue, and respect for law are the only path to lasting peace in the region.